definitely one of the most talented lyricists of the past 10 years. And it's incredible just the level that he has slept on in the industry and just in public opinion. He's been marked as one of these corny rappers. Oh, I know there's a couple of rappers that pop into your head immediately when I say the phrase corny rapper. And sometimes it's justified. Sometimes I can see where people are coming from. But this one, I cannot wrap my head around. Ever since I first saw Joyner with this song Ross Capuchoni, I think he's been one of the most talented lyricists in the game. Although he's had multiple viral moments throughout his career, I still feel like he's been held back by the stigma that has been put on him unjustly. Let me tell you exactly how he got to the point he's at right now. Joyner was born Gary Lucas in 1988 in Worcester, Massachusetts. His father was a jazz musician, and his mother you can actually see in the video for Ross Capuchoni. Joyner picked up his love for hip-hop and R&B from what his family would play around the house, and when they would have people over, Joyner is quoted in saying that his aunt used to pay him $1 to rap Busta Rhymes in the living room in front of her friends. This is what sparked Joyner's love for being an MC. Joyner grew up with a ton of different hip-hop influences, whether it be the Notorious B.I.G., Nas, Redman, Method Man, or Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. When Joyner was 7 years old, he formed a group with his uncle, who was only actually 2 years older than him. By the time Joyner was 10, they had already been remixing songs and recording demos. Joyner went by the stage name G Storm, and his uncle was Cyrus the Great. By the time Joyner made it to high school, he was already known for being the rapper. Alongside his uncle, they formed a group amongst his friends at school known as the Film School Rejects, and put out a mixtape called Workprint, the greatest mixtape of all time. This came out in 2007. Eventually, Joyner's uncle and their producer DJ Prince left to go work with Sky Zoo, an underground rapper at the time, and this left Joyner all on his own. Here, he switched up his alias once again, going as Future Joyner, and released a mixtape all on his own named Listen to Me. From here, he switched his name back to what he was going by as a kid, Joyner Lucas, because this same year he dropped this tape, there was this guy, little known guy known as Future Hendrix popping off. Joyner would continue to release mixtapes and perform in rap competitions, just trying to get his name out in the local scene, and it was working. Joyner began to do whatever he could to get on, entering competitions, getting noticed from people like The Alchemist, working on his pen game, and developing his style of talking from multiple different perspectives. And at this time, he started to form his mixtape, Along Came Joyner. While making this mixtape, Joyner decided to switch up his focus. He started getting really serious about his visuals, feeling like they were a really important piece of the puzzle, to the point where he would write out his plan for the visuals before he even wrote the song. On this mixtape featured the viral hit that put him on the map, Ross Capuchoni. This popped off in a way that nothing Joyner had done before had. He had other popular tracks on this tape like Happy Birthday, all focused on writing raps from a different perspective and then flipping it and writing from the other perspective. This started to work very well for Joyner, and enough attention that it got him on the BET Cypher in 2015. He was initially only going to be on the internet cypher with a bunch of peers, lesser known musicians, but after demonstrating his skills and what he was capable of, he was the first rapper ever to get moved from the internet slot up to the TV slot. With all this buzz, Joyner capitalized on it by dropping his first album titled, well, it's his phone number. He titled the album his phone number. And he had many standout songs on this album. Stuff like I'm Sorry, Ultrasound, Just Like You, and Winter Blues being a couple of standouts. Joyner had finally seen his first taste of mainstream success. But this was nothing to compare to what he will tackle in 2017. In 2016, he revealed to the world that he was having his first child. And then in 2017, he dropped I'm Not Racist, potentially Joyner's biggest song still to this day, sitting at a whopping 152 million views, skyrocketing Joyner to a level that he probably never suspected he would ever reach. A lot of people thinking that Joyner was the white man depicted in the video. From here, Joyner would go on to release countless different freestyles, kind of taking after what Lil Wayne did in the early 2000s. Pretty much as soon as a popular song would drop, like Gucci Gang or Bank Account, Mask Off, he would take this song and remix it a lot of times coming after the rapper that made the song. The most popular example of this would be when he dissed Lil Pump on the Gucci Gang beat. Joyner was a mainstream artist at this point, and then going on to release his second album, ADHD. Standout records like I Love, ISIS featuring Logic. Him and Logic had a beef going on that they eventually squashed on this track. And on this album, he had another massive moment making a song called Will, a tribute to Will Smith and his career, and Joyner paying homage and respect to Will Smith. This worked so much to the point that Will Smith actually hopped on the remix of this song, one of the first hip-hop tracks Will Smith had made in over 20 years. I think you could argue this is the point where Joyner started to sort of lean into his corniness. A lot of people view artists like Logic or like even Will Smith, as funny as it sounds nowadays. For years, Will Smith was seen as a very corny rapper, a guy that wouldn't curse in his music, even getting called out by Eminem. And so from Joyner doing his remixes of all these songs of what that time was referred to as mumble rappers, what was hip and what was cool in hip hop at the time, Joyner was kind of the counterculture of that. He was the lyrical guy shitting on all these rappers that didn't care so much that really only cared about the general vibe of the music, not particularly every single bar. He was kind of dividing himself from these people. A lot of lyrical rappers at the time would get hit with the stigma of corny rapper, and I would say that Joyner was probably one of the leaders of this. That's a stigma that I don't think he's been able to shake. He's really just kind of accepted it seems. And then Joyner went dark for a couple years. He started to work on other things outside of hip hop. He started to focus on raising his son, opened up his own yogurt shop. And it wasn't until a couple months ago he started to promote his most recent album, Not Now I'm Busy. He made a song paying homage to Mac Miller called 17, where he raps on the Donald Trump beat. He has features from people like Conway the Machine, Twista, Logic, Simba, DMX, and a standout track with Joyner Lucas and Jelly Roll called Best For Me. A really beautiful hook from Jelly. And Joyner does, and it's classic Joyner, rapping from his perspective, talking about his friend that is suffering from substance abuse and how he feels personally affected by this. And then the second verse, they flip it and it's the man that's struggling from the substance abuse rapping to Joyner. A really powerful song. Then there's the track Broski with some really haunting visuals, really impressive stuff, where yet again Joyner does this perspective of his friend that's so happy for his success. And as the beat becomes more and more dark and demented, and there's this really dope electric guitar that starts to cut in, you can tell that his friend is a bit more bitter and not so grateful for his buddy's success. Really done in a masterful way. And then just last week, he drops probably my favorite song on the project once I saw the visual for it, called Three Little Pigs, where it starts out where he's reading his son a bedtime story, and you think it's going to be, the old traditional Three Little Pigs song, but he flips the story on its head. It's three little pigs, and clearly, as we all know, pigs can refer to pigs is how a lot of people refer to the police. And so Joyner puts that right out in your face right at the beginning of the song. It's like, oh, this is going to be about something a bit more specific.
Pigs was dressed the same, cause they all work together, and that job ain't really easy. And they work is kind of scary, so they all got water guns. That's their favorite thing to carry.
And then he starts to tell this story of this family of wolves that's exiled from the town and has to live out in the woods, and they can only come into the town just to get what they need to survive, go to the grocery store and all. And while one of the wolves is on their way back to the house, the three little pigs single him out for no apparent reason. And this scares the wolf, and they end up in a car chase all the way back to their house, where a really, really twisted ending ensues.
Kicked the door down, and all they heard was water sounds. That's what happens when the pigs fare you. So here's the moral with a story with a clear view.
Just another example of Joyner's masterful storytelling. And like I said at the beginning, it's a very good reason for why Joyner is one of the best artists in the game. I think a lot of people look at Joyner as past his prime, if you will, or just corny and doesn't deserve even the success he has, when I would say he should be one of the biggest artists in the game. From the way it sits right now, it really feels like Joyner had his taste of the mainstream and then kind of took a step away and is never going to reach that same level he was at. But I sure hope that's not the case. If there's any artist that deserves mainstream success in 2024 with the climate of hip-hop and where it's at right now, it would be Joyner. I'm not here to sound like an old head, like a lyrical rapper fan. I mean, I'm all for current rap and the where it's at, you know. I can understand the unseriousness and the fun of something like a Glorilla or even like a Sexy Red. I understand that has a place, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be here. But all I'm saying is that the current attitude of hip-hop doesn't really benefit a guy like Joyner, who's really here for all the right reasons and does nothing but exude talent. It's just an interesting place, and all I can hope is that the way that his career looks is going to turn around for his benefit. But hey, that's I really just thought I would shine a light on, honestly, one of my favorite artists. I don't listen to him as much as I used to, but I still very much appreciate every single time he has another song. So anyways, I love y'all. Let me know what you think about this topic. Let me know what you think about Joyner. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is just a cornball. Let me know down below in the comments. And I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.
You know, Mort, I think you're beginning to grow.
Well, sir, I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be. So I'll catch you on the rebound, your magnitude. Until next week, Nanu, Nanu.